Over 34,000 miles and 15 months, and my Jeep Gladiator and I have had some awesome off-road and overland adventures. We've done a lot of modifications that we put on it and we took off. And in this video, what I want to do is talk about the pros and cons of the Jeep Gladiator, why I traded it in for something else, and I'll give you a little bit of insight on what I traded it in for. Plus, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about what I was doing in Moab last week with 6 bone stock Jeeps. We had a lot of fun, and I've been getting a lot of questions about the Jeep Wrangler 392 and my thoughts on it, so I will address that. We got a lot to talk about on this episode of Coffee One Take. Stay tuned. Welcome to Trail Recon. I'm Brad, and on this episode of Coffee One Take, yes, I did change the name of this series. We're no longer going to call it Garage Coffee because as I get ready to head out and travel to all 50 states, I'm going to be grabbing a cup of coffee and turning the camera on and doing a bunch of these one takes out at camp and on trails when we're out there. We're not going to necessarily be in the garage all the time. So that's why the name change going forward. But you're not here for that. You want to know, Brad, why did you get rid of your Jeep Gladiator? And so I want to talk about that. I'll talk about what is now sitting in the driveway a little bit, what replaced it. But I thought it was a good conversation to have because 34,000 miles in 15 months, man, we did a lot to that Jeep Gladiator. We went to a lot of great places, had some awesome adventures. And there's some good pros and a couple cons to owning a Jeep Gladiator. I thought I would share that with you. So let's just start out by when the Gladiator come out. Boy, I'll tell you, I was super excited when I saw the Jeep Gladiator and it was going to be coming out because I had been a Jeep Wrangler owner for a long time, and to have that Gladiator with a new interior and now that payload capacity to be able to just take all my gear and not have to worry about it, boy, that was very appealing, and I was super excited. And as soon as it came out, well, I got the keys to one and we started building it up. And the great thing about the Jeep Gladiator is there is limitless what you can do to that thing. Now, I took it out and wheeled it in bone stock format as soon as we got it. I mean, I don't even think I had it for 3 days, and we were out on the trail because I wanted to get a feel for what it was like wheeling that thing. And I knew going into it that the Jeep Gladiator was longer than the Jeep Wrangler, that the breakover angle was going to be a little bit not so great, and the departure angle was definitely going to be something that we had to pay attention to, and the turning radius, all those things were going to be factors. And the first time that I took it out, well, it was very apparent to me that I was no longer in my Wrangler. It performed great off-road, I mean, really did. But as I started to kind of wheel it harder and harder, it was very apparent that, all right, I'm not in my Wrangler anymore. I really got to think about choosing my lines a little differently. I mean, when you're going over obstacles, you know, when you're in a Wrangler, you kind of get a feeling for, okay, that first tire goes over and that second tire goes over and I don't have to worry about departure angle. I know when I'm going to hit my turn. But now you're in a longer vehicle and the whole dynamics are different. And so that took a little bit of adjustment for me to get familiar with the Gladiator, to get my confidence up going over obstacles. And so that was very enlightening in the beginning. I loved wheeling that thing. And then we put a rack on there and put a tent on there and was wheeling it that way. And the suspension, stock suspension with all my gear on the back was, well, it wasn't great. It wasn't really meant to handle all that kind of stuff off-road. On-road it was fine, but when you went off-road, boy, it felt like a boat going down the road. The next upgrade I think we did was 35, so I put 35s on that stock suspension, and it helped immensely with getting it up a little higher, with traction. Drivability was fine. You know, that 8-speed transmission that comes in the Gladiator, didn't care about those 35s. Did have a little bit of rubbing on the stock suspension, just on the inner fenders, nothing crazy. It could have been because I had all that weight on the back. Probably if we took that weight off, the 35s probably wouldn't have been an issue. But it was good. 35s are a great tire all around. I think you can go almost anywhere you need to go with a 35. Then we lifted the Gladiator 2.5 inches and threw some 38s on there, which was a little too much tire. But the lift really, really helped the performance of the Gladiator off-road. You know, that breakover angle, the departure angle became less of a factor, still there, but definitely was easier to get through a lot of those obstacles. The 38-inch tire, it looked good. It filled out the wheel well really nice, but it was a little too much tire, and the gearing and the transmission, definitely noticed. And so then I got a call and said, hey Brad, we would really like to have your Jeep Gladiator at SEMA. And so we lifted it, done a little bit of overlanding gear on the back, put that rack on the back, the bigger tires, but they wanted it for SEMA. And so when you go to SEMA, you know, they want something that's a little more, what's the right word? It needs to be a showcase vehicle. So we wrapped it. And so I put a satin wrap on there, and I love the design of the wrap. It looked great, but satin is not the right color if you are going to wrap. I shouldn't say satin is the right color. Just the satin material is not the right thing to do for an off-road vehicle, because the minute you are near some bushes and you get a little bit of pinstriping, it shows up. I mean, you can see it. Unlike a gloss wrap, which is what I had on the Wrangler way back when. That's perfect. I mean, that stuff is durable. It's great. It's awesome. The satin looks good. I mean, the red color just looked awesome, especially with all those design graphics that we did on there. But it didn't work out for us in the end. But it looked great for SEMA. Did a bunch of other stuff, had it all ready to go for SEMA, had a great time at SEMA. And then the guys at Adventure Rigs asked to do a photo shoot with it. So we got the Gladiator on the cover of a magazine. Truly honored that that happened. I was blessed. So the Gladiator was... And man, it was just looking great, and it was performing well. But I will tell you, the truth of it is that even though this thing was a beast, it was great for overlanding, it was great for long travel distance because it drives so smooth. The gas mileage was pretty respectable, especially once we re-geared it. It actually got pretty good gas mileage, 15, 16, 17 if we were really behaving ourselves. It was good on long trips. I was able to put all my gear back there. But to do it all again, let me mention that rack really quick. This is Coffee One Takes. We're not editing any of this, guys. The rack, I would not do the rack again. The Lightner rack is a great system, and we were able to throw water, gas cans, the rooftop tent up there, super durable. But what I quickly realized is, you know, you got to stop at some stores when you're out on your trips. You got to pull into Walmart. You got to leave your vehicle out in the open and parking lots, and there are some people out there that have sticky fingers. And I did lose a gas can. I did lose a bag that had some air equipment in it. And so I think to do it all over again, which we're going to be talking about that here a little bit. I don't think I'd do an open rack. I know a lot of people love their open racks, but for me, I think for an overland vehicle to have, you know, an enclosed cap is the way to go. And so if I was going to rewind and build that truck again, I would do it with an enclosed cap, because I think that is, you know, everything's going to stay clean. You don't have to worry about people grabbing your stuff. It's still easily accessible, and you still got that entire truck bed. So, okay, so after SEMA now, after SEMA, we just started having some adventures with it and wheeling it. And I began to kind of pick and choose what vehicle I would take on what adventures. So I would take the Gladiator if I knew we were going to be going, you know, on long trips, but it was going to be easy to moderate trails. Because the minute you start getting into the thick of it, like really difficult trails, which I like to do from time to time, the Gladiator just let me down a few times. Now, maybe if it had 40s and a 6-inch lift, it would have been fine. But there were times where I was on the trail and I would be thinking, I really wish I had my Wrangler right now. I really wish I was in the JK. And so that when we would go out and I knew we were going to get after it a little bit, I would take the Wrangler, and I would tow the trailer with it, because that actually takes, you take the weight off the Wrangler, you're towing that trailer. It was great. You tow the trailer with the Gladiator, and the Gladiator doesn't care that there's a trailer back there because it tows really well. The X2, the Patriot Campers X2 that I had for a little while, it was light, nimble, but it ends up making things very long when you're out doing technical trails. But the Wrangler with the trailer, that worked out really well. Some of the other things that I really liked about the Gladiator was that 8-speed transmission. Once we re-geared it, I actually did 513 gears initially. We ended up pulling back and going back to 488 gears, and I did drop the tire size from 38s to 37s. 37s, 488 gears, boy, I'll tell you what, that was perfect. It was perfect on road because we were in eighth gear all the time, no problems. When you're on the trail, you drop it into 4-low, that low range was just perfect. 37s on that 2.5-inch lift did not rub at all. It was great for easy to moderate trails. Now, why did I sell the Gladiator? Why did I trade it in for something else? Well, I knew that I was happier in a Wrangler, and I knew that the diesel Wrangler was coming out, And so as soon as I had the opportunity, I put my name in the hat for diesel Wrangler and ordered it. And it took a while. It took us a little over 3 months from the time I ordered this diesel Wrangler for it to get here. And so in that period of time, I knew that I was going to get rid of the Gladiator, so I started pulling some of the old gear off, and you probably saw that here on the channel, and if you're following me on Instagram, you saw some pictures, and people were like, what are you doing? Why are you pulling all that gear off there? Because we knew, when you trade in a vehicle to have all that stuff on there, you don't get any value for it, and so it was kind of cool though, because you put the truck back to stock. I mean, it's still lifted with tires, but we took all that weight off there, we pulled the rack off there, we just made things a little simpler. It was actually a lot more pleasant to drive, and I found it off-road. It was a little bit better because you just didn't have that weight on there anymore. But the reason I got rid of it was because it's a mid-size truck, and I used the heck out of it. I mean, I was throwing tires back there, I was making trips to the dump, I was moving furniture, I was towing with it. I mean, I was using that truck as a truck, and I need a truck. I think it's something that I have to continue to have, but I don't need a Wrangler and a truck that's almost a Wrangler. I don't need both of those. And so for me, it just made sense to say goodbye to the Gladiator. The Wrangler is, this is gonna be so much fun. And you can see, guys, it's still not lifted, not bigger tires yet. I've been wheeling this in stock form. That's gonna change here in the near future, but I've been having a blast with it. And it's so nice to be back in the Wrangler and going from the JK to the Gladiator to this, the creature comforts that are in the new JL. I just love it. It's on long trips, it's so much better. And the diesel is, we'll talk more about that here soon. But I wanted to get a truck. And I still wanted to have that off-road capability. And if we go to Alaska or some of these trips across the US where we're going to be doing easy trips, I wanted something that would still allow me to have a little bit of fun off-road, not hit it hard, but take it easy. Kind of like when I would pick and choose from the Gladiator. Like, I'm going to take this on a long trip, but we're not going to hit it hard. So I traded the Gladiator in for a Ram Power Wagon. And I will be doing a full-blown review of the Ram Power Wagon here soon. But I got to tell you, wow, I love that thing. The creature comforts inside the Power Wagon are far, far above the Gladiator. The capability is, it's not going to be as technical off-road, but on the Power Wagon, you've got solid axles, you've got lockers front and rear, sway bar disconnect, low range is pretty good. It's basically a Gladiator on steroids, and I think it's the perfect vehicle. Payload capacity, towing, it's not full-size heavy-duty, but it's still pretty dang on good. And so I'll be talking more about the Power Wagon. I'm super excited about this. We're going to be doing the Power Wagon. We're going to be towing. We'll be towing with this. We've got a trailer in the works we'll be talking about here soon. So that's coming. So anyway, Amelia is no longer in the driveway. We've said goodbye to her. I know that a lot of you are here because you saw the Gladiator videos. Hopefully you'll stick around because we're still going to have some great adventures in all the vehicles that we're using. It just won't be a Gladiator, at least in my driveway. I do know a good close friend who ordered a diesel Wrangler here. So we'll be taking a look at their truck here soon and hopefully seeing how they build it up. So there'll still be some Gladiator content, just not going to be in my driveway. Now, maybe down the road, maybe we'll do something else with the Gladiator in the future. Maybe they'll just come out with something that's so cool we have to have one. So that's that. That Power Wagon, I've already put over 2,000 miles on that thing, and we drove, it was me. I drove to Moab a little over a week and a half ago and was there for 7 days, and that drive was amazing in that truck. I mean, I was so comfortable. I went from San Diego to Las Vegas without stopping. Normally, you kind of start, in the seat of your pants. You're like, I need to get out and stretch my legs. So we'll stop halfway between here and Vegas. I didn't stop. I went the whole way, and I'm like, man, I'm super comfortable. I'm just going to keep on going. And the range was awesome. I mean, over 400 miles to a tank of gas was perfect. But what was I doing in Moab? Well, I had the opportunity to have the keys to 6 bone stock Jeep Wranglers, and I had 6 different lift kits from 6 different manufacturers. They were not identical lift kits. They're definitely different sizes and different price points, but I got to install, with the help of Dixie 4-wheel drive out there in Moab, we installed all those lift kits on those 6 Jeeps, and then I got to drive them on road, off-road. We did some high-speed off-road stuff. We did some low rock crawling stuff, just some normal driving, just to get a feel for what those kits, you know, how they behaved on an off-road. And boy, I'll tell you, super enlightening. I mean, I went out there with a little bit of expectation. I'm like, oh, I'm probably not going to be able to tell much of a difference. I mean, maybe there'll be some clearance issues or whatever. No way. I learned a lot about just how dramatically different each one of those lift kits are. And I think it's going to be some really valuable information that you guys are going to get here once that video is ready to go. Now, I still have a whole lot of notes. I've got a lot of numbers that I got to crunch, and then I've got a whole week's worth of footage from installing, you know, reviewing, on-road, off-road, rock crawling. I got to put all that together, and so it's going to take me a couple weeks to put that video together. It'll be out before Christmas. That's my promise to you, but it's going to be a little bit. But I'm super excited to share that with you. I think you guys are going to find that really valuable. I know that I get asked all the time, Brad, what's the best lift kit? What lift kit should I install? And I'm going to give you my opinion on all those different lift kits in certain different categories. I broke it down into certain sections, and I'll talk about that in that video. So that's coming here in the near future. Now, the question that I've been getting asked a lot lately is the Wrangler 392. The Wrangler V8 finally was released. You can now call your dealer and order one. And we have been begging Jeep to come out with a JL V8 version that we can buy, especially here in California, because emissions won't allow you to take a Wrangler to a shop and have them put a V8 in there, at least not legally. You have to go, you know, there's some things you can do to kind of skirt around that, but it's not the right thing to do if you're in California. I'm sure there's some other states that have the emissions problems that we have. So having a factory warranted V8 right out of the box that you can buy at your dealer, boy, how appealing is that? And the 392 is 470 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque. Oh my gosh. And 0 to 60, I think is it 4.5 seconds? That's a rocket ship in a Wrangler. That's really, really cool. How fun would that be, just bombing through the desert, you know, if you want to hit it hard, because we do that all the time. And we were out in the desert, there's some open roads out there, and you know, look, it's not Baja 1000, but sometimes we have a little fun. Boy, on a V8, boy, that could be a blast, especially if you had the right tuned shocks. Oh, that would be a great time. But I just got the diesel. I mean, I just finally put my actual registered plates on here, and so this thing, you know, it's still got that new car smell. I'm not ready to trade that in. I don't think I'm going to be getting a V8 Wrangler, at least not in the near future. The other thing is, it's brand new, and there are some dealers that are, well, let's just say they're taking advantage of the situation because there's going to be such high demand for that. There are dealers that are charging $7,000 to $10,000. I even heard somebody say they were quoted $20,000 for an initial deposit. And that deposit is the dealer markup. It's not the actual, it's not a deposit that goes towards the price of the vehicle. That's how much they're saying, you give us that money and then we will order it to you and then we will charge you the full price when you get it here. And what's that full price going to be? I don't know. It's going to be a lot. I mean, if you think about it, the Wrangler diesel, it's a $4,500 option to get the diesel. What's the V8 option going to be? It's going to be at least that, probably significantly more. So is the Wrangler going to be, you know, breaking that $70,000 barrier? Probably. And then you throw a dealer markup on there for $7,000, $10,000, $20,000? I'm not in. I'm not playing. I think that I will have to wait, and hopefully they'll continue to do a V8 model, you know, over the next couple of years. And once things kind of die down, we'll take a look at that and reassess. I think the V8 though is going to be pretty cool. I mean, I'm excited to see him out on the trail. If somebody's, you know, if it's in their budget to put a deposit down on it, man, good on you. It'll be cool to see him out there wheeling those. Just not for me right now. I'm going to take full advantage of the diesel. I'm loving the diesel. I'm loving the gas mileage. I'm loving the range. I'm loving the torque. And we've got some pretty cool trips planned. Obviously, we're going to be going to all 50 states. It won't be all 50 states in just the Jeep. We will take the Power Wagon to a couple states. I'm even going to take the Cherokee Chief to a couple states. I've been working on the Chief, and so more to come on that. And lots to come, guys. I think think there's so many exciting things coming up with vehicles that are being released. I think the V8 Wrangler is one of them. It's not for me now, maybe down the road, but there's a lot of cool vehicles coming out. All these electric vehicles that are coming out. The Ram TRX that just came out, that thing is super exciting. I think Ford Raptor guys are going to be taking a hard look if they're going to be upgrading. Do they get a Raptor or do they get that TRX? I don't know. That TRX is pretty sweet. Yeah, so I just wanted to check in with you guys today and kind of give you an update on what's going on, why I got rid of the Gladiator. I'm a little sad to see Amelia go, but I'm happy with my choice. I'm happy to have the Wrangler in here, and I'm happy to have a good full-size truck here. I'm excited to share with you that content we did out in Moab, and I'm really, really excited for 2021. 2020, man, you guys let's just forget about that year. Not that there's going to be some magical cure that happens on January 1st, 2021, that all that's going to be behind us, but I'm going to kick off my 50-state trip in January, and I mentioned before we're heading to Texas, and I've already got that routed out and mapped out, and then we've got some really other cool states that we're going to be going to right after that. So I don't know how long it's going to take me to do all 50 states, but I'm super excited about it, and I'm super excited to share those adventures with you. Okay, guys, I've got to go do a whole lot of video editing, so I'm going to head out of here, and besides, somebody's calling me on this episode of Coffee One Take. That was really unprofessional, Brad. You're supposed to shut off your phone when you're filming. All right, guys. I hope you all are having a great weekend. We'll see y'all in the next video.